evening, everybody. My name is Brett Sheldon, the founder of the Business Support Organisation. This is just a quick introduction video from last night's special one-off event where I was discussing with members about the road forward, where the BSO is going, and basically the adoption of a flywheel marketing approach. And if you've not come across a flywheel approach before, go into Google, you'll find loads of stuff on things like HubSpot, but it's a model that's been adopted by Amazon, HubSpot especially, and it's a way of describing how to deal with, or how to get massive inbound marketing, and also just doing what's right. Without us knowing, this is what we're doing all along. We actually didn't even know it was the thing. So enjoy the video. It is quite a long one, so it is over an hour long, and there's lots of interaction with people who are on there, but please enjoy. And as always, apologies in advance for any swearing that may be on there. I can't say it's probably me who is swearing, in all fairness. And also don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe to this the video and the channel. Anyway, thanks very much. Enjoy the video. So we'll also treat today as a networking event as well. I'm sure there's lots of people on here who haven't met each other before. So if you can just quickly, I'm going to run through people just to do a very quick 8-second introduction. If you can, literally keep it to your name, your company name, and what you do in 8 seconds. Otherwise, we'd be on here all night. That'll be great. I was going to call your names out. If you can just unmute yourself, then remute yourself after, that'd be great. So I'll go from my screen from top left to right. So Karen, if you can quickly introduce yourself. Or not, it's fine, I don't mind.
Will do. Trying to find the unmute button. Yeah, I'm Karen Bourne. I'm an NLP master coach and trainer dealing with stress, anxiety, fears and phobias, helping you achieve your full potential.
Brilliant. We have Michelle.
Michelle, the Geek Coach and the Tech Leader Academy, creating IT leaders that build and inspire.
Brilliant. Mr. Koss.
John Koss, JC Cybersecurity Services, providing you with protection, understanding, and whatever it is from cyber threat. Yeah, I've completely messed that up.
Yeah,
Carry on.
Don't worry, it's okay, not a problem. Mr. Gill?
Yeah, Dave Gill, Pro Guard Security, covering all your security needs, whether they are at home or at your work.
Phil Grundle, if you can introduce yourself, mate.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, my name is Phil Grundle and I'm a business consultant. You know from my accent that I'm from Yorkshire.
Fantastic. That's what I like. Yorkshireman keeps it straight and to the point. That's everything we need to know. We have Mr. Parks.
Good evening, everybody. I'm an ACM partner, which means I'm licensed to resell household name products and services for both the home and small businesses.
Brilliant. Mr. Kirk. If you
caught me on the hop then, mate. Darren from Adapt Business Solutions, and we're your business supplies company, and we can find any solution for whatever size company, whether that big or small.
Brilliant. Moxie.
I'm Moxie of Vinehall Studios, creating out of this world logo animations.
Brilliant. Mr. Lander.
Paul Lander from Zekro Web Solutions, multi-award-winning web design development and digital marketing.
Brilliant. Vicky Lovegrove.
I'm Vicky from 73 Design, graphic design and brand identity. Also a coach within the creative industries as well.
Brilliant. Shay.
Hi, Shabzel, Icon Growth Professionals, working with startups, SMEs and social enterprises, specialisms in grant funding and finance for growth.
Brilliant. The other Vicky?
From Chameleon Acupuncture and Wellness, using little needles to reduce your pain.
Brilliant. James?
James Bolly from Purposeful, helping small business owners attract the best team members, make them more loyal, engaged and motivated by discovering purpose.
Brilliant. Lawrence?
I'm Lawrence. I produce animated content.
Fantastic. Vieri?
Hi, I'm Vieri Wicks from Vieri Hair Solutions, and I supply salons, mobile hairdressers, and academies with professional hair products.
Brilliant. Lee?
Lee Baker, IT Technophobes, and I help you with everything and anything to do with IT.
Right. Dean?
Dean Palfreman, I run Primal Nutrition and Fitness, so getting you fit and healthy with real food and natural movement.
Fantastic. Martin?
Good evening, everyone. Martin, the Warrior Warlow from Warrior Community Initiatives. I scare people in a good way by educating them about stroke and stress, having had a stroke myself in 2013.
Brilliant. Adam?
Adam Jones from Unico 3. We are growth accountants that help people, unsurprisingly, grow by using their figures.
Fantastic. Mr. Egan?
Hey, right, everyone. Richard Egan, so from Real Leaders, and we combine the worlds of leadership development training with corporate and social responsibility to massively improve the reputation of organisations, and if they're family owned and led, the reputation of the family name as well.
I'm gonna have to buy you a minute watching, so that's nowhere near that 8 seconds. Joe?
Good evening, Joe Watkins, Q6 IT Services. We are here to take the pain away from all your technology issues.
Brilliant. Pierre?
Pierre Watson, aka Pierre the Bear, copywriter and headhunter.
Fantastic. Viral?
Hi, my name is Viral from Bob Rush Limited. We make sustainable dental products for all your home and business needs.
Gary?
Gary Watkins from Q6 IT, the same as Joe.
We have the Don.
Hi, Michael Don Smith, the signature speech coach.
Fantastic. And finally, Mr. Roberts.
Good evening, everyone. Roland Roberts from the Cardinal Partnership. We offer friendly and accessible and, most of all, understandable legal advice to own and manage businesses.
Fantastic. So at this point now, I now know what a high school teacher's like. It's a case of it's now time for playtime, so we can all go outside and do whatever we need to do, how long that takes. So I'm just going to quickly share the screen. So bear with you 1 second, and we'll start tonight's presentation off. Here we go.
This is is this making it worse or better? It's the anticipation's killing us, isn't it?
Well, last time I did this, Paul, if you think about it, I then got everybody singing, do they know it's Christmas? So it's like, everybody ought to start behaving, really. Otherwise,
please tell me there's a song after.
Oh, it could well be, mate. It could well be. So basically, all we're going to do is quickly run through this today. The whole thing is going to take probably around about 40 minutes. I'll put the agenda on screen for you. I'll try to keep it as truthful as we possibly can. So basically, I'll let you, like I say, you can read through. But effectively, I'm combining a bit of waffle from me with some audience participation, with a little bit more waffle, with more audience participation, and then really focus on the things that are basically stuff that's in it for you. And if should Michelle fall asleep later on, because she was a little bit tired this morning. For those who don't know, obviously we actually ran a breakfast meeting this morning. Michelle really does not like meetings of a morning, do you, Michelle? Really doesn't like it. She spent most of the meeting like that, pretty much, and it's a case of, but she got better. Obviously, clearly she gets better as the day goes on. So what I'm going to do, like I say, I'm going to keep this to around about 40 minutes. And I need to start off discussing why have I actually decided to put a snap meeting on here. In terms of what I'm trying to do these days, or what I am doing these days, before Michelle tells me off saying using the word try. So what I am doing normally now is to giving you 2 months notice in terms of any events. So for me to run one now with 4 days notice is unprecedented. So apart from the fact I'm trying to see, well, can we still do it? Can we break all the rules? Over the last number of months, I've had a lot of one-to-ones with members who are actually on here now. Lots of members who aren't on here. And these one-to-ones have been an awful lot around strategy, how to use the BSO more, building connections, looking at sales, looking at marketing. And it's also a two-way process. So, because this is the way that I learn as the owner of the BSO. The things I pick up from everyday conversations with you guys is all fuel to the pot of the BSO. During some of those conversations, some models were given to me, which meant I actually did some research, and the findings off the back of that absolutely astounded me. James, you're on here. I mean, there's that many people on here. I'm trying to find where people are. But James, I had a meeting with just before Easter. I ran through some numbers with him. James, if you recall, I showed you a spreadsheet. And it's absolutely amazing. A few small tweaks into a model that I looked at and started developing years ago. There's absolutely huge difference to the numbers. James, I mean, if you can back me up on that, if you want to unmute yourself and The numbers are phenomenal, aren't they?
Yeah, marginal gains make a big difference.
Absolutely, it is huge, and it's only small tweaks as well. So the reason I wanted to do this now is because the calendar that we've got coming up, I've got no other time to start squeezing this in. So I thought, right, sod it, let's just get it out there now. Let's get everybody involved and start the conversation starting. So if that's okay with you guys, well, basically, I hope it's okay because it's not a democracy. You haven't really got much choice about it. So what we're going to do is to basically start the journey off. So everybody on here is a member. We've got members on here. Do a quick wave, those who are with the BSO from the very, very start. I mean, we've got a couple of the founders on here. We've got Dave Gill was a founder, Paul's a founder, Roland's there right from the very beginning. Lee was, Michelle, you were there about a month or so in. So you were a very early member. I think it was at the April time, I think, when you joined, I think it was early April, March, something like that. So we've got members who are here at the very, very beginning. And the BSO is basically, it's been a journey. Michelle, just from your experience, is the BSO now a little bit different to what it was 3 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that a little bit or a lot?
Quite a bit.
Yeah. But we had founding principles, didn't we? So we had ideas at the beginning and we've developed those as we've gone. And the whole process of the BSO, the whole entity of the BSO is a journey. So just to let people know now, we will never be finished. It's a case of we want to keep continually growing, continually adapting, and continually working for our members. But what I want to start doing on this today is part of this journey and the values of the BSO is about inspiring business owners, people like you, people like me, other people. We want to make sure people get value out of what they're actually doing. We want people to take action. And importantly today, we want to educate. So if we can start hitting some of those 4 slots today, this journey is all worthwhile. And we know that it's starting to work because the conversation I'm having behind closed doors, the number of conversations I have members saying, Brett, do you know somebody who can deal with this? Or I'm a little bit stuck on here. The number of members that it's not about me, I'm steering them towards other people. Adam, how many people do we steer towards you?
A lot.
Yeah. Roland, same for you. How many people do we steer towards you on a regular basis?
A great deal. I'm very grateful and I'm very happy to say.
Yeah, and the whole thing there, it's a case of it's the constant engagement with members is where all this works. But to go through a little bit of a journey, I kind of have to start explaining a little bit more about the actual computer that breaks completely and have no idea because it's not going to go onto the next screen for some reason. Here we go. The BSO journey timeline. As members, you will know us from when we launched. However, the BSO story started a long while before. Look at the people on here, the people we've known probably the most or the longest. Paul Lander, you're certainly on there. Know yourself now for 10, 12 years, something like that. You don't have to admit to it, just nod, it'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll admit to that.
We'll edit a nod into it later. Dave, we've known each other probably for 10 years. Roland, about the same as about 10 years, something like that. So my journey into to where we are today started back in April 2008. April 2008 is when I started with the Federation of Small Businesses. People know the reason why I started. In February of that year, I came a cropper. It was the days of early recession. And off the back of that, I was basically taken for 23 grand. Just no fault of my own, wrong place, wrong time, a bit of politics thrown into there. Casualty of it, I was very new to business, couldn't really weather it, had to bring in money quickly, and I advertised, or basically saw an advert for the Federation of Small Businesses. It was in the old Midlands jobs page, and I remember vividly the only reason I applied, it said paid weekly, and I need to bring money in quickly. That is genuine. It was, like I say, it was the right-hand page. Remember, it was right at the bottom, little square advert. And as soon as I started, I liked it, enjoyed it. And I went into their fold. And the way that, does anybody here remember the FSB? I mean, they're a good organisation. I'm not knocking them. Yeah. So the way that they generally sell is they use telephone appointment makers, basically book a meeting, send somebody in, they tell you all about the FSB, come and join, yes, no. And that's how it worked. And that's how I started off cutting my teeth. Became quite good at it. But early in 2009 is where I started basically understanding and came across networking. When I came across networking, I explored it more. This is where I basically got involved with BNI at the time. This is where I then met Paul, I met Roland, I met Vicky through this. Dave Gill, I met through alternative networks in other ways. And all that then started leading towards referral strategy. And that's where things started developing. I moved away from telephone appointment makers fully into starting dealing with basically referral-based strategies. Early 2013, that is where a toxic environment started. Basically, the FSB. I'm not speaking out of turn. It was a change that were going on where the sales force was basically moved around. Lots of things were going on, very, very political. In the sales force, though, we were caught in the crossfire. Roland, you'll certainly remember me from those days because I obviously had a conversation with you at that point. It wasn't a nice time for us. And to be fair, I started then looking at alternative models. And I actually took the referral-based strategy that I'm using today in a very basic form to the FSB. Now, my manager at the time loved it, but unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to do it. So you will know my character. Basically, I told them to get stuffed and left basically in the May. And that's where I basically joined Business First Network, which became similar kind of problem, difficult t-shirt. And that early part of that timeline finished, and I remember the day vividly. It was the 22nd of November 2017. And the reason I remember it vividly is because I was in the car on the way back from Stratford as a birthday treat for Emma. It was her, like I say, it was a birthday, and I had a phone call about funding for a new organisation I was potentially setting up. Now, for those of you who know Emma, that didn't go down very well at the time. It's a case because I hadn't told her anything about what I was planning. It was more of in the car. It was one of those looks of what the hell are you doing? So I had to come clean that I've got this idea for an organisation. And she went, okay, do what you feel is right. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll support you along the way. And that effectively became the BSO. And the BSO started, the official day I made the decision to launch it was the 2nd of January 2018. Now, all this isn't the most interesting thing in the world, but it shows how fast we got this off the ground. Because on the 2nd of January 2018, the day I decided to launch the BSO, I only had 300 quid. That is all I had to my name. It was not a good time, not a good place to start a business. And thanks to people like Paul and to Lee and to Roland, to Dave, we managed to get the BSO up and running in 2 months. It should have actually been the 1st of March. Paul, do you remember what happened that day on the 1st of March?
Was it snowy?
Yeah, we had the Beast from the East hit. Yeah. So we were due to have our launch party on the...
the launch party.
And the Beast from the East hit about 4:30, 5 o'clock and just gridlocked Warsaw. Couldn't get anywhere. We were only people cancelling, turning away. So we had the second attempt at the launch party on the 22nd of March. And then on the basic, after that, we went from strength to strength. 7th of November is when we signed our 100th member. And basically the day of the first lockdown was the day that probably changed the BSO forever. Me and Roland have talked about this at length. The way that we managed to react at the time of going back to our roots, the ethos, the reason why I started the BSO in the first place was to provide an environment to help support businesses, to help them to succeed. Of deciding, forget what we're doing, forget all the sales stuff. Really brave decision. We've got just about enough to survive, but start dealing with members properly. Is the day the members started to understand we do an awful lot more than networking. And during that lockdown period in the August, that's where we started figuring out our purpose and our values. James, we had a session before that August time, and we were talking about, it was for your podcast, if I recall rightly, and saying all about the values and this. Yeah. I have no idea how to explain them. It was great. He asked me about our values, and we purpose-led, and I couldn't explain it. So we went through an exercise to start explaining that. And just to finish this part of the timeline, the 29th of March, Lorraine Holden, who many of you know, became our 250th member, which is great for the ups and downs that we've had. And our retention rate is high, because even though that's 3 years in with all the trials and tribulation we've got 150 live members. It's 150 exactly live members, which is brilliant. It gives us a fantastic sounding board. Now, the reason why we're starting to do this is because I do have to come clean. From the early days, and there's only 3-4 people on here who actually know this, that on day one, Lee, am I right in saying this? We didn't really have any idea what we were doing. Is that right?
I think the conversation said, no idea what the plan is, and let's just see what happens.
Pretty much. I think that's actually probably the long version of it, really. It was a case of, we just turned around. So I've got an idea. I've got a gut feeling. I think I know something's right. I'm going to focus on what I think's right. Shall we go for it? And everybody went, yeah, all right. And so we were massively underfunded. So from the family, we raised some money off the back of it, and we launched with a minimum viable product that was so minimal, we couldn't take payments. We didn't have a membership form. The website wasn't quite live. It wasn't Paul's fault, because we gave him a brief, but we don't know what we want. We don't know what color it needs to be. We don't know what it needs to do. We don't know where it's going. But can you create a website in 6 weeks? He went, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, no problem at all. And it's a case of it was an absolute nightmare client for you, Paul, wasn't it? But better than some of the others, is that right?
Yeah, bad there, yeah.
Yeah. So we started, it was such a basic product, but we had a very, very simple philosophy. Just take every day, one day at a time, do the best as you can on that day, and just get a little bit better the day tomorrow. And we've done that day after day after day, and it's put us into good stead. And probably the strongest thing we had early doors was surrounding ourselves with good people. Most of those good people couldn't make it today, but you know what? We've actually got you guys here. So it's a case of sometimes you've got to take what you've got, really. It's a case of, but you know what? We surround ourselves with good people. And I took a really simple approach of just talking to members, giving them what they want as much as I possibly could, even if I couldn't do it. Now, the mythology of that was the miracle on 34th Street, that Santa was actually telling people where to go and buy all the presents for less money. And it's that kind of loyalty is where it goes. But the founding concept was this. It really is simple. I mean, I'll let you read it. It really is this simple. The whole purpose, now we can verbalize this, was just to create an environment that helps business owners to succeed. That's it. And the way we're going to do that is, regardless of size, money, or status, just personalize everything we're doing and make it accessible to the everyday business owner. And the bit I couldn't quite fit into the slide there was to ask that question like I've asked everybody, how can we help you? And then to work on it. And it's a simple belief that if we can create an organization that's 100% built around its clients, then all we do is engage properly and make sure we add value. The members themselves should become the number one route to market. That's probably a pretty simple philosophy to take, yeah? I think we all probably try to work on that as well. Who here, quick show of hands, who loves referral business? Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly one of them. But referral business as a concept will only happen, or should only happen, if there is a need and trust is sufficiently high. That is something, if people are looking for referral business, they should really be focusing on. And the other side of things as well, I want to make sure there was no socially sterile environment. In other words, I want to make sure we can have fun. And I do not like political correctness. If people want to take the mickey, go for it. You really should. By the way, has anybody noticed, in terms of taking the mickey, on this image that you see a couple of times a week, has anybody noticed I've got one eye smaller than the other? It's weird. Until I had that image taken, I didn't realize I'm disabled. Well, I've got like a squint. It's unreal. I mean, I never knew. So what I had to do, I took loads of selfies to figure out, and it says, yeah, my right eye is more closed than the other. I'm like a minor version of, and a white version of Forrest Whitaker. It's weird. So it's a case of, but unfortunately I can't act. But anyway, going from there. So the other side of things as well was the principle of the penny doubled. Has anybody come across this before? The penny doubled principle? Yes, no, that's yes, that's no. Yeah, okay. Richard, Mr. Parks, if you can just quickly explain what the penny double principle is. Actually, I can see you're eating. Sorry, apologies.
Sorry. Well, I'm assuming it's the penny doubled is 2, double, and then it's doubled to 4, to 8. 16, 32, 64, 128.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, lots of people in multi-level marketing this is mentioned to them. The penny doubled is basically based on an old parable or whatever it may be, an old story back in the
compound interest.
Yeah, basically, there's a guy on his deathbed, and he talks to his two sons. He's a very wealthy man. He says, "I don't really like you, but I need to give you some money. So you can either have £1 million today, or for 30 days, I'll give you a penny, and I'll double it every day. But you've got to choose now." And one son chooses the £1 million, goes off and enjoys life a little bit, and the other guy says, "You know what? My dad's a bit canny here. There's got to be something in this." And he says, "Okay, I'm going to have a penny. I'm going to double it." And so he does it, and his dad dies. He thinks, "Oh shit!" And then after a week, he works out he's got 64p after a week. Thinking, "Oh god, here we go." After 2 weeks, he's got 81 quid. He's thinking, "Great, my brother's got £1 million here. He's living the high life. He's absolutely brilliant." And here we go. I've got 81 quid. I've got enough for a couple of bags of chips, 3 pints, and to get mugged on the way home, and that's pretty much about it. After 3 weeks, he's going, you know, well, things are a bit better, but I've just short 10.5 grand. And he started to panic a bit, thinking, "Oh my god, my dad's basically dying thing. He just wants to take a laugh." And you know what? The rest of the money is given to the cat's home. It's just like this isn't good. After 4 weeks, though, things are starting to pick up. After 4 weeks, that 10.5 grand has now turned into just over 1.3 million. And at the end of 30 days, a penny doubled every day is 5.3 million. And it's that compound interest. And this is where a lot of the BSO came. And this is the model I took to the FSB and to Business First, saying, look, if we can look after our customers properly, our customers will look after us. They will naturally refer, especially if we can educate them and earn the right to get those recommendations. And the recommendations themselves will pay back so massively, we could not buy that kind of publicity. Even if we threw tens of millions at it, we would not be able to get that kind of publicity. And that's the basic concept of the BSO. So at this point, I think you've had enough of listening to me for a little bit. So I'm going to get you to do a little bit now. So you're all going to need access to the chat function. So in a second, I'm going to ask you a question. And all I want you to do is to put a very simple answer in the chat. And as they come in, I'll start reading some of them out and start looking at what's being said. Hopefully some of it's nice. It's Vieri, 22nd November is your birthday as well. I didn't realise you've got the same birthday as Emma. Oh, she will be pleased. So, in terms of the question I'm going to ask you, it is that question. Why did you join the BSO? Remember, be nice. I do have your addresses. I do have a chair, a rope, and a can of petrol. And my solicitor is here, so don't worry, he's authorised there. Yeah, John Coss, I forced him to. Absolutely. It's a case of, it's one of those. Vieri was bored. Yeah, true. I wouldn't stop talking. Yeah. Dean, nice answer. Yeah, more clients. Shay, more connections. Here we go. What else? Oh my God, things are coming in here. Right, so we've got everything here from. Okay, so some people just referred by a friend. Yeah, Mr. Regan, he needs some petrol for his car. That's absolutely right. I had a hose pipe and a mint. Mr. Lander, absolutely bang on. It's the only way I get you to leave. Well, I could leave your house. It's a case of, I don't know if you noticed, but I also took your video player. Yeah, Vicky, great, needs some support, which you wasn't getting. Richard Parks, learning. So I'll let you.
I've got to say, video player, Brett.
Paul, you joined the stuff I was doing a long while ago, mate. I mean, I'm not being funny, mate. It was almost oil on canvas. It was such a long while ago. So Pierre, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Like it, Pierre. Like, it's what's this? Oliver. Okay. That sounds really nice, Oliver. I have no idea what you're talking about there, but yeah. So Roland's obviously joined to support me, brilliant, and also to meet other people. So a lot of these answers on there, Paul, you promised beer, yes. Yeah, so it's a case of, yeah, but I told your wife, and she said no. So in terms of all this, most of those comments on there are pretty much geared around trying to generate more sales, gain more exposure. Is that pretty much the feeling of what most people are looking for? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask you another quick question. Is what do you like most about the BSO apart from the lack of beer? So yeah, Paul, yeah, we promised beer. Okay. John Coss, we're a family. Fantastic stuff. Vicky Harrison Edwards had a slight issue. So somebody turned a plug off, so he needs to log back in and again in a second. Fantastic. So some really nice comments there. It's a laugh. It's friendly. It's approachable. Rather having a trusted circle of people. Brilliant. Paul Lander, sensible, good camaraderie. Lee Baker, did you mean like an old boys network there, Lee? Yeah. So we're not like some great cuddly pillow recommendations. I know, Mr. Cost, we have lots of late night conversations. These are really, really, really important things for me, because this is the stuff that I would like to hear. And I'm not saying this just to blow sunshine at my backsides. I'm doing this because this is the reason why I wanted things. This is what I felt was required. So I'm now going to move on to the flywheel. So I'm going to move tact a little bit here, mainly because I can see Adam's starting to fall asleep a little bit. It's a case of, I know Adam's waiting patiently because I warned him this morning. I may be asking him to explain what the flywheel approach is. I was basically winding up a little bit, basically. I may go to him, I may not. But for the purpose of those who are not engineers, those who don't have qualifications in physics, a flywheel is basically a heavy weighted object that spins. It's on screen. You've got an example of an old-fashioned flywheel like you find in engineering, and it's what a flywheel does is basically it basically converts energy. It's a very, very efficient way of transferring energy. And what happens with flywheels that when you start spinning them, the heavier and the faster they move, the more you can remove the friction away from the system. They'll just keep spinning for a very, very, very long while. The bigger and faster they are, the more efficient they are. It's a case of they're just incredibly efficient. It really are. They were invented by James Watt. James Watt is basically when you pick your light bulbs up and it has a wattage on it, they are named after him. It's a case of this is what a flywheel is. Been around for hundreds of years. However, there is also a concept of the flywheel effect in marketing. But this story really starts going. Here we go. Very canvas broke again. Here we go. Here we go. Right. So it was based in conversations with these guys that over the last few months, we've had a number of presentations. Last year, Michelle, you presented. We had Nigel present as well on something similar. So this is the Michelle, if you just explain what you were talking about, get people involved.
Meta programs, why you don't treat people the way you expect to be treated.
Yeah, and more importantly, you treat people how they expect to be treated, not how you expect to be treated. Richard Parks, I mean, he hasn't presented, but Richard calls me every week. And off the back of that, the conversation we have, he suggests lots of books and different things and different models. I didn't know that Richard mentioned this to me absolutely ages ago. Charlotte is we constantly, Charlotte's firm does some social media work for us, but we're talking about communication channels and all these kind of areas. And Vicky, we had a conversation the other week in regards to marketing off the back of your presentation about understanding brand. And but the conversation has that I feel that some of our communication doesn't quite tie together. And this is all the journey that we go on. But more importantly, it was the conversation with this. Hang on, there's something wrong there. Hang on a minute. That's better. Okie dokie. Right. So there's a conversation we had with Adam not too long ago. And it was after, I think, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong. It was after one of the BSO breakfasts. We were bouncing a couple of ideas with some stuff we had to arrange with Unico. And you mentioned, have you heard about the flywheel marketing strategy?
Yeah, you're wrong. I will correct you because that was wrong. Essentially, we were sat in our office when we were talking about rolling your app out or rolling that app out to all of our clients and drivers and whatnot. That's where it started.
Was that way? But did you then mention it by a flywheel strategy later?
No, it was at the end of that meeting. Yeah. It was so Jane had gone and we were just chatting about it, and me being always busy, I was just letting you know what I was doing and that I was starting to implement sort of like the flywheel marketing strategy in within Unico, and then it sort of developed from there really.
So off the back of it, we started doing basically I started doing a little bit of research. Michelle, you brought this up this morning. I'm exactly the same as you. I'm an absolute bugger for shiny things. So it's like, oh, squirrel. Right. And it's like, that's where we are. So, and I don't like
reading books. Yes, we have books on the shelf, and I have actually read some of them. Not all of them, but I have read. Pierre, you don't realise how privileged you are. When you mentioned a book, I actually bought it and I read it. It's a case of it doubled my book intake for that year. You don't.
Yeah. Great book as well, wasn't it?
It was a very good book. I don't know if it's on there. No, I've actually given it to Emma to read, but she hasn't read it yet either. But it's a case of you don't know how I really dislike reading books. So I take lots of snippets. I'll take lots of things from YouTube, etc. And we started doing the basis of research. And the basis of research, a lot of it I did over Easter. And these two guys basically cropped up. Now, the two guys on there, I'm hoping people recognise, first of all, the person on the right-hand side. John, you are correct. It is my favourite person. Does everybody know who that is? Vieri, person on the right? No idea. By the way, Vieri's all for the quizzes. She's not very good at picture rounds either. Anybody know who the person on the right is?
Jeff Bezos.
Mate, Jeff Bezos.
Bezos.
Yeah, for those who've been living in a cave for the last few years, Jeff Bezos obviously owns Amazon. Does anybody know who the person on the left is? Adam, be quiet. The person on the left, anybody? He's a very, very, very wealthy man. Any idea?
Mr. Uber?
No. Adam, do you know who it is?
I'd assume it's one of the founders of HubSpot.
Yeah.
If I took a guess, I'd say Brian Halligan.
Yeah, it's Brian Halligan from HubSpot. So for those who know a bit about marketing, HubSpot basically, when they entered the market, was they're taking the more modern principles, how things were working, applying it to business software, and that's how they took off. Brian Halligan, HubSpot's worth about £1 billion. His personal wealth is worth $350 million for those who are interested. He's a very clever guy. And a lot of the stuff HubSpot have taken this so far. They run conferences. If anyone wants to start looking at flywheel marketing strategy or anything, if anybody really has trouble sleeping, go into YouTube, just basically put in Brian Halligan, inbound 18 and 19, and you'll pick up a couple of videos off the back of that. They're about 40 minutes long, but he's very, very, very charismatic on stage. He's worth watching just on that perspective. And there's some really good information off the back of it. But without really knowing, a flywheel marketing approach is basically what Amazon does. It's what HubSpot do. It's what lots of other massive corporations do, but you wouldn't even know. And while we're anywhere near a flywheel marketing strategy, because it really is the preserve of much larger companies than any of us on here. If you combined all the turnover of all of us on here, we would just about start being able to putting a full-on flywheel approach. Is that about right, Adam? If we combine everybody's income on here, we'd be able to start doing it. Pretty much.
Basically, it costs to do it to the extent that these guys have done it. It will cost you millions.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean we can't take the same approach, because what I found is that all a flywheel marketing approach means, quite simply, is that, I'll get rid of that slide, it's not really that important. We move from a funnel mechanism where you put things in the top, let process it through, and things come out the bottom. You might be clever and put some stuff back in the top again. But what happens, you put clients at the entire center of your business universe. Everything you do is about supporting the clients and making sure your client journey, your client experience is absolutely phenomenal. And what happens is it becomes an attraction marketing model. Everything starts getting pulled in. It's referral marketing on such a scale you cannot believe. And the prime example on here, I'm going to pick on Vicky Lovegrove. When I had all my problems with Jeff and Amazon wouldn't deliver anything to me, what did you say on Facebook? Do you remember?
I can't remember beyond yesterday, Brett. Sorry.
Well, I do, because you really hit me there. He says, I've never had a problem. It must be your fault, Brett. It's case of, it's been brilliant. They're fantastic. Everybody came to the defense of Amazon. They're brilliant. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's case of, I still have problems trying to get things from Amazon, but it's not Amazon's fault. It's actually independent resellers. What is actually happening is Amazon stepping in the way, saying, you lot of shit, here's his money back.
Is it because you're too tight to pay for Prime? Is that what it is?
Might be. No, to be fair, at the time I did have Prime, and I cancelled it because of it. And it's a case of, it's one of those things that Amazon, even with me having a bad experience, Amazon have still come to my defense saying, look, we want to make sure you're treated properly. It's absolutely unreal. It's a case of, you can probably all think of companies, big companies, where your service level are so good, you cannot but admire them. You really can't. It's brilliant. But the three words do have meaning. So I've stolen this directly off the HubSpot website. I haven't just stolen all the images as well, although I'll probably end up in trouble with copyright, but I have credited their text. So if you want to read that, that's absolutely fine. But basically you've got, I've copied things into the wrong point. But basically you've got the attracting phase it should be on the left-hand side, should be in the blue section. And that's basically, this is where salespeople start coming into. It's about trying to get people and dragging them to you. Your engaging part is where you start basically pushing lots of information out. This is where marketeers really come into it. And delight is when you start talking about things that people absolutely love their service. Absolutely so overjoyed with it that all you can do is sing praise about it. Pretty much, Adam, is that about right? Apart from I put things in the wrong order on the slide.
Yeah, you have put things in the wrong order.
Yeah. I was trying to rush today. It's a case of, it's one of those things.
But you are spot on. It's exactly that.
And if you want to go back to the flywheel, which is just an attraction marketing model, there's only three factors to make sure a flywheel becomes more efficient. And this is just physics. This isn't marketing. The first one, if you make your flywheel bigger, it becomes a much better thing. That's why you see them in the old Victorian museums and old Victorian engines. There's a massive wheel. They needed the size because once it's going, it's very difficult to stop it. The second one is, how fast can it spin? The faster you can spin it, the more energy it creates. It's all about kinetic energy. This is where I start turning into a nerd and start talking about different kinds of energy. But kinetic energy is the key. And the other one is to remove friction. Now, the lifestyle of businesses over the last 30, 40 years has changed, because where you should apply your force is the points where you've got most friction. If you can get rid of the friction, it works more effectively. If you go back to the 90s and to the early 2000s, the point of friction was attract. In other words, these are the days. Who here was in business in the 90s? Okay, so Dave, from your perspective, in the 90s, that's when you had loads of sales reps going out there, knocking on doors, doing all that kind of thing. It was basically having to inform people through people. Going into the 2000s, you're talking the point of most resistance, the way you apply most force, is when you start talking about the attraction side, the engagement side. Yep. So at that point, what happens is that the marketeers, it's about really good content. Who's in marketing on it? Vicky, yourself, when it comes down to images and graphic design, etc. About 20 years you've been in business, is about right?
Yeah, 18 years this year. Yeah.
So if we go back to that, it's a case of, when we talk from when you first started all the way through, even probably to now, the actual content has to be really compelling to draw people in, doesn't it? It has to look right, it has to feel right, it has to have the right messaging.
It's crazy because I built my first website and with a book, How to Write HTML. Yeah. And it worked because there wasn't a lot of competition. Yeah. Because now the competition is huge.
This day and age, you basically it's everywhere, isn't it? It's a nightmare. So it's all about that. But this day and age now, where you currently sit from here on in, it's about delight. And the only reason that is being put forward on here is that in 90s up to probably around about 2006, the internet wasn't massively prevalent. It was the way we communicate was different. Roland, you're one of the more elder statesmen on here. Those were the days we used to buy a newspaper, weren't it?
Sod off. Elder statesman. Yeah, I've done it all. I remember repping for a company before there were mobile phones. That's how old I am.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a case, but it's the days where basically we used to read about yesterday's news today.
Yeah.
If you went on holiday, you read about yesterday's news in 2 days' time. It was like, oh my God! If we don't find out about stuff now within 30 seconds, we have a fit. If you then move from 2006 to 2018, it's the day when the internet started becoming king. And with the internet, obviously, we all start getting access to the same information as the reps. Before it was the reps who had all the information. On the internet, you can research anything. And from 2018 onwards, let's face it, this is the world of social media. The social media, lock, stock, and barrel, rules the roost. It's. I mean, let's face it. Adam, you know about this kind of stuff. The Brexit, social media, it was absolutely mad, wasn't it? Cambridge Analytica and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, basically, it was the Cambridge Analytica pretty much changed a lot of the way marketeers actually decided to do things, because people were less okay with Facebook knowing whether you put your left sock on first or your right, and what what time you put your child to bed and things like that. So Cambridge Analytica changed the face of social media marketing in terms of how targeted you can get. You look back at like 2016, you could target someone to the nth degree and put whatever you wanted in time in front of your perfect person. Now you've got less data because, yes, they still hold tons of data on you, but it's nowhere near the same level.
And this is, I mean, but going on from there, what's happening now is has to be personalized. If you receive an email, dear sir, delete. I mean, things can get so good these days. And this is where it all comes down to. But going back to, here we go, everything's starting to crash again. Here we go. Oops. I think it's more to do with my computer than the software we're using. But going back to this flywheel, this is a phenomenal tool to have. And without knowing this is the stuff that we're working towards. This is the reason why I said I need to let you guys know now, because while we haven't got big teams and big fancy systems and everything else, what we have got is an engaged client base. And the proof of that is with 4 days notice from Easter Sunday, including the day of the event and a bank holiday, we had 32 people register. 32. Unreal. The only event in the BSO's history online that's more than that, the Christmas party. It's unreal. So it's now time to get you guys involved again. Some people are falling asleep. I think Joe's falling asleep here. Oliver, how you doing? Good to see you. Okay, and Bullet, nice to see you as well, mate. Great stuff. So a bit of audience participation time. I'm going to remember what I've got to try and ask you to do here. I'm going to ask you a really simple question. Once again, so when you put it into the chat, it's going to be a yes or no. And I want you also to elaborate a little bit with the reason why. And I want to ask you the question, would you be happy to refer the BSO to other business owners? Simple yes or no, and why? Dean, yes, thank God for that. That's all right. Cool. Yes. That's it. Remember, I do know your addresses. Cool. So you're looking at the rest of those. Yeah, great community, value for money, helpful, genuine. These are the kind of things that we want you to do. Now, Michelle, why? Because, okay, yeah, so why? I don't know, hopefully Michelle will also put a yes in there. So this is the start of a flywheel. We're getting engaged customers. We're getting people who are happy to do things. And the question you should be asking is, why is this important? Let's be honest. This is the big question. Why is it important? I just want to give you a quick analogy. Would you buy a sofa without sitting on it? No? Okay. So instead of me sitting on a sofa, back in November, Dean, you know this, I have a bad back. I bought a fancy new chair, and we bought a mattress. I spend more time on a mattress. And off the back of this, so I bought an Emma mattress. Who here? Does anybody on here have an Emma mattress? Yeah, so I've got an Emma mattress. Paul Landers got one. Viral's got one. Anybody else got one? What's the other company? It's not Temper. What's the other company?
Dreams.
Who is that? Sorry.
Dreams.
No, not Dreams. Dreams.
Yeah. Tempera.
No, they got Temper. Temper, the really. Is it Temper? Then they got. Anyway, there's two companies.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So Emma don't have showrooms. There's three of us who've got. Hang on, something's going on here. Joe, are you trying to say you've got a different mattress to carry here, or what's going on here?
He chose the mattress, and I don't like it.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough. If you had an Emma one,
Yeah, very expensive, but yeah, it's a bit too hard for me. But there we are.
Right.
Is it Simba or
Simba? That's the one. Simba's the other one. That's it, not Temper. Temper, the really expensive ones. It's a case of yeah. So in terms of where this is, so in other words, I bought a £500 mattress. Now, those who know me, I'm tight. I don't like spending money. I bought a £500 mattress online, never laying it, and it's completely normal. It's completely normal these days. You go online, ask which is the best one, Simba or Emma. Some people say Emma's fantastic. Most people say, you know what, they're about the same, similar kind of price. Well, I think I saw it on the advert today, 200-night trial. So if you don't like it within 200 nights, contact us. We'll come and collect it, and we'll give you money back. No question of that. Okay, we'll give it a go. The way we work this day and age is completely different. And what happens? We say, oh, we've had this man. It gets delivered on the time it was supposed to be delivered. The packaging is perfect. The even got a little tool to cut the plastic so we don't pierce it or anything like that. Things like that. I mean, another product in my pocket. Okay, my wallet. So most people, it's a Bellroy wallet. Now that means nothing to most people in here, but it's a very, very slim wallet. They're not cheap.
What were all those fleas coming out?
Sorry?
What were all those fleas coming out your wallet?
Fleas? Oh, no, there's no fleas, the moths at them. I mean, genuinely, there's no cash in it. I haven't used cash for ages, but there's plenty of cards. But the reason I bought it because I wanted something really, really slim, went online, double-checked, went to YouTube, and we say really good. When it came, the envelope it came in was hand-stitched. Oh, it was a stitched envelope. It was like, wow, look at this. What do you talk about? How good is this? Got delivered on time. Lovely cards in it. Emma had a Radley handbag. She bought with some Christmas money. Came through. The box was lovely. The bag it came in. I'm going to go to the ladies here probably. Ladies, have you ever had anything from Tiffany's? Yeah? No? Vicky, you need to have a word with your other half. It's not, I mean, for Christmas, I treated Emma. I bought a piece of jewellery from Tiffany. Now, I didn't buy her diamonds and didn't buy her gold. I couldn't afford that. And yes, it is very expensive, but the user experience is phenomenal. Went over to, I'd like to come and have a look at, it was a necklace. Sorry, sir, you have to have an appointment. Oh, I never knew. Don't worry, sir. We've got one in 15 minutes. If you like to walk around Selfridges, we'll phone you to say you're ready. There'll be no hanging about. You'll come straight in. You come in. It was brilliant. The experience was absolutely phenomenal. And Emma was over the moon because it's Tiffany. There are companies out there which are absolutely brilliant. So everything about the customer. Quite often you pay a premium for it. But the reason why this is important is because what you all mentioned, or most of you mentioned early doors, is you're all looking for either support or you're looking for more clients. So this is where it starts coming into now, the actual nitty gritty of this. If I can get everything back up and running again. I wish it would work. So the science behind the BSO. So the science behind the BSO is, once again, quite simple. That if we can engage properly with our members and our members are happy, those happy members will probably refer. But 80% of them will only refer every now and again if they trip over it. Yeah? Do people know people like this? You probably refer. If somebody turns around to you, Gary, and say, Gary, you know lots of people. Do you happen to know anybody short, fat, and grey-haired, loves his grey shirts, never shuts up, owns a business organisation. I think his name starts with a B, plays golf a bit. I mean, you're on about Brett, aren't you? Oh, that's the fella. That's where you perhaps might refer. Or I happen to walk into the same room and go, oh, he's the person you want to speak to. Let me go and introduce you. Most people will be like that, but they will still happily refer because 80% of our members will probably renew, in all fairness. Of the remaining 20%, these are the ones who are more active. These are people like yourselves. 3/4 of those are going to be more proactive and they'll look out a bit more. And off the back of that, they'll probably refer three members a year. And the last group, which is the smallest group, is 5% of members are going to be happy, but they're also going to be in an industry or got reach. So they've got a lot more opportunity to refer more people. those will refer potentially a lot more. I'm probably bringing 10 clients. Now, this is just a model which we put to it. We used to have this base, and this is when I turn around to people don't necessarily believe that we can grow the BSO in the next 5 or 6 years to 10,000 members. Now, the model I originally had was wrong. It didn't allow for the drop-offs. So I actually refined the model. So now to really bore you with a little bit of maths, if you can see for those who are actually on there, the actual model here on the 80, 15% and 5% model means that if we have those numbers on here, if you can actually see the numbers, the 96 people would actually, at this moment in time, with 150 members, 96 people will drop into that 80% band. Only 24 will be the more active. But off the action of those, it'll bring in 150 members, could bring in 402 other members. And over the 6-year period, it grows to 12,500 members. To give you an idea of scale, the Greater Birmingham Chamber with 10 different chambers, full-time sales, 9 full-time salespeople, customer care teams, everything else, they've only got about 3,000 members. That's the idea of scale. But if we start tweaking things and they start to have marginal gains, let's just get a little bit better at it. Because we also know that the model's wrong, because we know that most of our members or most of our drop-offs happen in the first year. If you're unhappy with membership, you're not going to renew it. Those who renew are generally happier. So therefore, of the people who remain, 90% of those will probably renew, which means overnight, our number's wrong. 12,500 goes to 15,500. Let's tweak it again. Let's start really playing with the figures. Let's get a little bit better at communicating with members, make sure members get a lot more engagement. So increase so those members who refer every now and again, so every couple of years. So 6 out of 10 refer each year. That takes us to over 18,000 members. Let's get a little bit better again. Let's take it to 70%. This is where the numbers start getting silly. We're talking now up to almost 21,500 members after 6 years. Let's just change the rules a little bit. Let's invent a new kind of referrer, because we're now engaging a lot more as an organisation. This is every part of the BSO. So Victoria, who's working for us, our suppliers, so Unico. We've got Charlotte, so Kinetic. You've got KDM, who are dealing with all the systems. All these people as well start working properly with all of our clients as well. Everything starts working. Talking here, we can probably find people who are so well connected, so in tune with what we're doing, or dealing with so many people. We can probably find people who can probably refer 50 times a year, 1 a week. That takes us now to just short of 30,000 members. This is unreal numbers. Let's start talking unicorn territory here. Let's put everything together. So, talking just shy of 35,000 members. Just to summarise, those are the numbers in one go. I'm happy to share these figures and talk this kind of model through with anybody. From a model that we started with potentially up to 10,000 clients, by getting a little bit better and getting everything starting to work in the right way, increase from 12,500 to just short of 35,000 members. That's a huge increase. James, when I gave you these numbers the other day, where did you say that was kind of close to the territory of?
I can't remember, Brett. What did I say?
Was it something like St John's Ambulance? They have something like 40-odd thousand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was on the list of 100 biggest membership organisations in the UK, and St John's Ambulance is about 45,000, I think. Yeah, so not far away from that.
We're talking absolutely huge numbers. Now, that's all very, very nice, and this is ego stroking. But the reason why this is important is because what does the BSO do? We're creating the environment to help businesses succeed. If we can get more members on board and get you engaging a lot more through our very action, we can do the heavy lifting to get you in front of more people. But we actually need your help with it. We can create all the tools to do the job. We can get the engagement there. We've got, Adam, I'm sorry, you just turned your camera off there. I think he was yawning a little bit or picking his nose. I'm not quite sure, one or the other.
My laptop's dying, so I'm going to get my charger.
All right, no problem. But with Unico, they've got access to a lot of drivers. So we're developing part of our app to give to the drivers. That could be thousands of drivers. That's thousands of consumers. Where we've basically agreed a deal with a charity, which can get us into another 1,000 charities. Those 1,000 charities, we can give this app to all the volunteers. Off the bat, and the things that we've been promising, we are doing. Roland, where's Roland gone? Roland's on here somewhere. Roland, are you still there?
He's disappeared for a while.
Oh, he's gone. Okay, anyway, I'll have to speak on his behalf. He'll agree to it anyway. But Roland is basically, he's got a lot of sway with school governors. Off the back of that, I mentioned to Roland, we'd like to be able to get this into schools, to be able to give to schools, to actually give to the parents of the kids. These could be thousands and thousands and thousands of consumers. We've built the tools for it. But we need to start getting people's buy-in. This is the reason why I wanted people now. So over the last few weeks, I've been asking, making sure members have actually gone on to the actual, oops, get rid of that. I've been asking members to start putting their profile entries. This is really powerful. So just some of the tools that we've got online, we've got 4 systems. We've got our website, we've got our social media channels, we've got our app, and we've also got the members portal. Now, I thought I'd be very, very quickly explain why, or try to explain why this is important and why you should start having your information there. It's because different systems are basically viewable by different people. The members portal, for instance, only our members can get access to it. Nobody else can get access to it. The app, certain members can get access to some parts, consumers can get access to others. So these are people, perhaps employees or people who've been invited by organisations and we've authorised it. The website can be viewable by anybody. In social media, the things like the Facebook group is completely closed to our members, but obviously you've also got the public-facing side with the LinkedIn, etc. Yeah? All nice and self-explanatory. The reason we want to be able to get people in here is if you could start putting the information into the portal, that will drive the information into all the other areas. It drives it without you having to touch it. So instead of you having to put lots of information to lots of areas, which is a nightmare, we can do that. So all you have to do is to literally log in and to start putting the details in. These are fill out your directory entry. Who on here hasn't got a directory entry at the moment? Yeah. So some people know you're missing a massive trick. We're starting to start pushing people into lots of arenas. Surely people want their details there. The reason why that's important is because as members, we can drive you to different areas. We can drive you into the portal. If Viral, if you turn around and say, Brett, can I have any chance you give me access to this? Yeah, it's on the app. Really? Yeah, just go on to it, fine. We can drive you into different systems. But also importantly, when you start talking about flywheel models, you have to remove resistance. What happens if Viral, because Viral, you also have a full-time job as well. So what happens if it's 10:30 at night and you want to be able to get access to it? I'm probably not going to answer the phone. Unless it's John Coss who answers the phone to John at 10:30, but that's because he threatens to hack my site. But it's a case of, in terms of that, what happens if it's 3 a.m? You might want to be able to get access to it. So the idea is we can now start making more things more accessible, more easily all the time. Now, we're nowhere near perfect, but we've started that journey. Now, the reason why that's important is if you basically drive you to it, we can also drive external people to it. And the reason we can drive external people, quite simply, is once they're in there, we can keep moving them around. We can get you more exposure. It's really, Paul, talk marketing with you, Paul, websites, things like that. If we can, it's all about driving traffic to it, isn't it?
Yeah, the key is traffic.
Yeah. If we've got the information, we can use social media feed to drive traffic to the website. Paul, if people keep putting blogs on there, does Google like that?
Totally. Google will drive more traffic to your website than social media will ever.
It's a case of if we can start putting loads of events on it, people are looking for events, we can drive stuff to that. We can then make sure you've actually looked at a slightly different side of it. It's common sense, really. It's hard to do. It's not easy, but we're doing it, and we're doing it because it's the right reason. So once you start going onto this now, you start driving information all over the shop, is the amount of information that keeps me transferring eventually starts expanding out further. For instance, James, you could write a fantastic blog article on purpose and how it benefits workplace relations and also productivity.
I will. I promise I will, Brett.
I know you promised it. It was only a year ago. Don't worry. I know. You promised faithfully.
You don't need to remind me every 6 months. Come on.
Yeah, it's okay. So James could put this on there. We could then talk about that in social media, and then Shay could read it and go, "That's good," and share it. Shay could then share it to somebody else, and then he just grows. There's no downside, but we need to get you buy-in. So the question I want to ask is, whose information do you want us to share? Because we're going to do this anyway. So would you like us to share your competitors' information? Our information? HubSpot's? HubSpot will love it. Or do you want to share your information? There's no trick to it. There's no catch to this. It really is. So at this point now, I'm going to another little bit of more audience participation. Don't worry, we are coming towards the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly drop you into breakout rooms. I'm going to do this randomly. Oops, where are we? I'm going to drop into breakout rooms. And between, how many people we got on here? 26 people. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop you into 7 breakout rooms. I'm just going to let Base assign you automatically. I'm going to give you 6 minutes, something like that. Yeah, we'll give you 6 minutes. Oops, hang on, close room, breakout rooms. Hang on, here we go. 6 minutes, and all I want you to do is do really, really quickly. If you've not met somebody in the room, introduce yourself, have a quick chat, and use 3-4 minutes of it just to simply talk about each other and say what information could you produce that could be of interest to others. So you might be going, you know what, Viral, you might be going, I produce toothbrush, or basically I supply toothbrushes. How's that going to be of interest to anybody? Other people, to start bouncing ideas around. Like I say, for 6 minutes, I'm conscious of time. So I'm going to open up the rooms now. Should be done. And I shall see you all very, very shortly. So we've almost finished from where we are. I know I didn't give you much time there. The idea was to give you 10 minutes, but unfortunately, I'm very, very conscious that we'll go past 8 o'clock. Otherwise, I'm a little bit conscious I've probably bored you all to death already anyway. So I just want to quickly go to a couple of the people there. Actually, I was going to a couple of people who are actually in these groups. So Dean, I know that you was in group 1. Was there anything particular you guys were talking about?
Well, we particularly nominated Michelle for the catch-up, so she's written it all down.
Fantastic. Excellent, Michelle.
It wasn't that long, Dean. I'm sure you can remember what we talked about in those few minutes.
Short-term memory.
Definitely. So, first of all, Dean was a little bit confused because he was like, my expertise isn't in business. And we had to remind him that as small businesses, we are what we deliver. So we all need to be fit and healthy. So he rethought his answer that he couldn't do anything. Vieri was, again, struggling on finding something. So again, hers was suggesting along the look good, feel good kind of route.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gary was also finding it challenging engaging people without striking the fear of God into them.
Yeah.
And he could do something along the simple steps and checklists kind of documents. And I'd suggested that I could potentially do something on the utilisation of body language when presenting to convey messages.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to go through every single group, but the idea behind the exercise is to start thinking about things that you can do slightly different. So I'm going to go to Dave Gill. Was anybody nominated in your group?
Yeah, we nominated Dave to take copious notes, and he's got reams of information of what we covered. Over to you, Dave.
So, Dave, you're muted, mate.
Well, I think we talked about IT, I think most of the time, so nothing else, unfortunately. But I think we were trying to get to the other two, but didn't have enough time.
Right, okay, fine, okay.
All right, Brett, can we just go back? Dave, would you mind clarifying, giving us a little bit more as to why it was IT?
Why was IT? Because I wanted to know a little bit more about IT.
Because you had Q6 IT in there.
Yes.
Yes, it was me. I just get bombarded by questions. So no, yeah.
Don't worry.
Dave was very intrigued. So thank you, Dave, for your interest.
Don't worry. Not a problem at all. At the end of the day, networking is networking.
It'll be Richard and Vittles next.
So, I mean, in terms of, Roland, in your group, anything particular people are talking about in there, the kind of things people could share?
Well, lots of interest to others is what we wanted to do is to try and communicate our passion for the things that we do.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes people, attracts people to us, isn't it? Our passion for things that we do and the fact that we can communicate them. So we were talking about blogs and videos and stuff that we could contribute to the group that people could buy, that could consume at their own time when they've got time to look at it, but where that kind of passion and interest and expertise comes over.
Absolutely. It's a case of things like, okay, if we talk about yourself, Roland, from the legal perspective, pitfalls, common mistakes people are making, all this kind of stuff that is going to be of interest to people. It's a case of, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're business to business, business to consumer, there are always things you can talk about. Even if you've got nothing to talk about from a business perspective, you are still a business person. You are still in business. You have your experience you can talk about. I mean, Vieri, from your perspective, from hair products, it's a case of your transition from where you was from a hairdresser, obviously started supplying, obviously you started looking at diversifying. You've obviously got your wholesale route as well. The actual transition, that journey you've been on is actually newsworthy. It's everybody on here has got a story. Everybody. And this is the thing I want people to start thinking about. Just because I haven't got time to go to everybody on this, it doesn't mean you haven't got things you can talk about. And just the final couple of points, I'm going to skip the last couple of slides on here. Oh, hang on, we've got somebody jumping back in. This is where I really need an assistant to start helping with all this kind of thing. Here we go. Is that you start going into the actual moving forward. I've put a couple of things there of what I hope is that people are thinking, you know what, there are things we can start actioning. So the first thing I want people to do is to start downloading and using the BSO app. Tomorrow morning, you will all be sent an email with login. For those who've already logged in, those who've already got basically already downloaded the app, who've already gone into it beforehand, it's a case of don't worry about it. For those who haven't, you will be sent some logins tomorrow morning. All you have to do, full instruction on there, click on the link, away you go. Really, really simple. Any problems, let us know. We'll talk you through it. But when you start playing, get used to it. We also want you to log into the BSO portal and create your directory entry. The reason why we want to do that is because that information drives the information in the app. In the next few weeks, we're going to be giving this app to lots and lots and lots of people. It's a crime almost not to have it. I mean, Adam, from your perspective, we'll be having this app in front of drivers, won't we, in the next couple of 3 weeks? So loads of people.
And it will be going, it's not necessarily drivers just in the West Midlands, it's drivers all over the UK.
Yeah, all over the place. We're going to start really pushing things out. This is why we need the information. It's a case of I want people to start creating guest blogs. With the guest blogs, we've already got plenty on there to start going. We'll soon burn them out. With those guest blogs, we can start talking. Now, the guest rules and guest blogs are really simple. Just can't be salesy in any way, shape, or form. Just cannot be salesy. Has to be informative. Start getting information. Get a deal of some description in. Now, a deal is just something to create an excuse to talk to somebody else. Something they wouldn't normally be able to get. It isn't always money off. It could be a guide. It could be an extra, the silver treatment for bronze prize. It could be, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're struggling with this, talk to us. We'll help you out. Book a one-to-one with me. I'm going to challenge people on here who've not had a one-to-one recently to have a one-to-one with me, because there's a hell of a lot of things going on behind the scenes that people won't know about. I want to know about any problems you're facing, any ideas you've got, how we can help you. I mean, just as an example, there's something really exciting coming about soon. Roland, you know about this because we've been talking about it. What are the BSO and yourself going to be doing quite soon?
Sorry, mate, I missed that. Say that again. What did the...
So what are the BSO going to be doing quite soon? You're probably the only person who knows about it.
Oh, no, I couldn't say, possibly. Go on, you tell them. I can't remember. Tell me what it is.
Might be with the radio station?
Oh, yes, of course we're going to be doing a radio show. And we're going to be using that information then also to put into a a podcast, and we're going to be making it available to everybody via the internet so that people can listen in and learn and share information, and members can talk about their businesses and what it's like doing business in this area.
Absolutely. It's a case of, but what Roland's mentioned is that you can use the one thing, then to feed other things. We can probably use the show over there and put it into other areas as well. It's a case of, it's the scope, and it's not going to be us talking about us. We're going to be talking about you guys. We're going to be getting you guys involved in it. It's a case of, don't worry if you're going to be nervous on it. I'm going to be nervous as well. But if you don't try it, there are loads of things going on behind the scenes, all about creating more exposure. I'm going to challenge, start booking one-to-ones with other members. Start booking them. Start getting to know people. This is where the true value lies. And if you don't know how to facilitate a proper one-to-one or what to discuss, have one with me first, and I'll show you how to do it. And also start, obviously from a personal perspective, start inviting people to the BSO party. Start bringing them along. Who here networks at other places apart from the BSO? Yeah. So does anybody here know anybody who's looking to try and get more business? Yeah. It might be worthwhile bringing them along a little bit. We're not going to charge them anything. We're not going to sell them anything, because the end of the day doesn't fit with our values. We'll sell them something if it could work for them, if they've got pain that we could solve. So the upshot of all this, I'm going to cut the last one short, is that we can start doing the heavy lifting for you. And the model that we're taking is something that can carry so much weight and get so much reach. The only downside is it's not going to cost you a penny. It's going to cost me money, but it's not going to cost you guys a penny. The trick is to be the early adopters on this, because you are the ones who are going to have the lead on everybody else. Of the 150 members, we've got 26, if you take me out, on here today. We've got others who basically expressed interest but couldn't make it. And we've got others who are regulars who couldn't make today. You're talking that probably about only a third of our members are engaged to a point they're going to take some kind of action. Of the people we're going to try and drive onto the portal links. Vicky, I've seen your comment on there. Yes, no problem at all. The email you'll be receiving tomorrow will have information of how to log into the portal as well. We've had to work out the processes. Going back to the flywheel model, we have to remove friction. One of the friction points was, how do we get you on it? Some people have got issues logging in. Don't worry, there's only a very tiny percentage. We can sort these manually. But off the back of it, it's a case of we can get all this done. So I'm going to thank you for your time. The only other thing I want you to think about, I'm not going to do this one here, but I want you to have a think about it and come back to me with any ideas, is basically, is there anything we can do to make your life easier to find more introductions, or is there any action that you can take to introduce more people? Have a think on that. Come back to me on it if you don't mind. And that's the only point now I'm going to say. Is there any questions just to close it? Apologies for overrunning. But thank you very much for your time. There's an awful lot of detail we've gone through there. So I'm going to shut that down to stop the screen share. So over to you guys. Are there any questions? Brilliant. In that case, then great.
Can we do vlogs as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You upload them directly from the portal.
I dropped a question in a chat to you, Brett. So following on from Rich's question about doing blogs, do they have to be the written blog, or can there be video blogs?
That's on a blog.
I honestly don't know. Sorry, to be honest, we've had that many comments, I can't go through them all. So it's a case of, that's the reason why I haven't necessarily seen it. As far as I believe, yes, we could, but I need to find exactly the process for it.
If you're going to do allow video onto the blog, Brett, it shouldn't really, don't host it on the website unless you're on a dedicated server, because it'll slow the website right down and it'll kill your Google rankings.
In that case, Michelle, no, we can't do it yet, but we will be able to do it quite soon.
Can't you embed URLs from YouTube to it?
Yeah, upload them. Well, something will have to happen. Either everyone sends the videos to Brett and he'll have to upload them to YouTube and then they get embedded from YouTube, or Google loves the written text. Google absolutely loves it. Video's great, yeah, but for Google's purposes, you will get more traction on a written blog.
it'll be easier
You
for us
can have
to.
the transcript underneath as the written piece.
Yeah, you can do.
As if you're demonstrating something, sometimes the written word isn't always the best.
What would be better is that you've got a written blog and then it transcribes it into audio.
Oh, hang on, we're going a bit beyond ourselves here. Yeah, at the moment we can't get people to log into the bloody portal. But we'll get there. There are lots of developments we want to bring in. Let's start walking before we can run. But in terms of that, Michelle, if it can't be done at the moment, it will be available certainly when we've got the cash flow to go and.
You know what you could do? Everyone could upload it to your own YouTube channel and then just send Brett the embed link.
Sounds good to me.
I think we should all record a personal vlog, send them all the original ones to Brett, and then you can upload them all to YouTube for us. It's about reducing friction for us, isn't it, Brett?
Love it. I agree with what Richard said.
Reducing friction for your members, Brett. That's all you've got to do.
I have. I've used it. I've muted him. That's reducing friction, isn't it? Okay, right. Okay, so that we got rid of that one. Anyway, I don't deal with it. Jack does. I don't mind. Okay, so send them away. Don't worry, I'll give you a special email address.
He's got to watch them all as well, just in case someone tries to get through, like promoting their business as a guise. So I can see Richard doing a half an hour video, and it's like 12 minutes in, going into a proper ad.
I wouldn't be surprised. So somebody will try it.
You wouldn't do it at 12. You'd do it at something like 21 minutes in. There's some really random time towards the end. So he's sort of sat through and gone, oh, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, for God's sake.
We're only going to accept videos of 20 minutes or less. Right, okay. Right, any other questions? Anybody else want to jump in with anything? I'm conscious I have bored most people to death at this point. It was a long one. It's the only way I kind of knew how to do it. So I'm going to thank you very much for your time. I expect everybody.
Oh, I've got a question.
Go on.
No, man. I'll leave it for another day. No, I can see everyone wants to get off.
Yeah, it's like I say. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being patient. Hopefully that was of use. I just want to explain things, where things are going, because we've worked really, really hard to get to this point. And at the moment, while we're not quite lighting the blue touch paper, we have taken the lighter out of our pocket. The next few months is where we can really get to the next stage, and then it'll just explode. If we can get that done, you know what, it's brilliant for everybody. Because let's face it, the more resource we have, where do you think I'm going to be spending that resource? With the members who are engaging the most. So we'll get even more.
I thought it was on a holiday home in the Caribbean, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but that's how I was going to spend. I was going to invite somebody along, that's all. It's what you're going to get from all these QR codes. You're going to get a 2-week trip to the Caribbean with Brett.
Oh, that's great.
But you have to
completed it, so I look forward to my 2 weeks.
You have to pay for your own flight, though.
That's it. You have to pay for your own flight and your own beer. Jack, can you make sure you edit that bit out, please? It's a case of...
Jack, it's in. It's in.
That's it. So anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for attending. Thank you for being really, really patient with it. I'm expecting lots of questions over the next few days. So feel free, give me a call anytime you wish, and I shall speak to you all soon. See you guys.
Everyone, take care.
Catch you later.
Well done,
guys.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well done, Brett. Nailed it.